And now, making her way to the blue corner, making her professional debut here tonight, she's a Muay Thai fighter, weighing in at 146 pounds, representing Gibson MMA in Port Moody, British Columbia, Canada. Please welcome to the cage, Julia Budd.
Julia Budd, hailing from my neck of the woods, actually a hop, skip, and a jump from my hometown of Abbotsford, British Columbia, Port Moody, BC. A young lady with a background in Muay Thai. In fact, she defeated Gina Carano in a Muay Thai fight back in 2005. She was 7-1 in the science of the 8 limbs, 2-0 as a pro boxer, but she's about to dip her toes into the mixed martial arts waters tonight.
And in order to be effective there, she feels she's got to outwork and outgrind her opponent and for sure defend the takedown. She doesn't want to be on her back, and she visualizes a lot and uses a lot of mental preparation, and for sure striking will be in her arsenal.
You're gonna see me use my superior striking skills. You're gonna see me use my boxing skills, my kickboxing skills, as well as my footwork and my overall conditioning to beat Shana Olson.
Representing Gibson MMA, trainer is UFC alum Lance Gibson, who was a Matt the Wizard Hume acolyte, so don't be surprised if she doesn't know a thing or two about the ground game here tonight.
And now making her way to the red corner with a record of 4 wins and no losses. 2 wins coming by way of knockout, 1 by way of submission. She weighed in at 143 1/2 pounds. She specializes in Muay Thai, representing Minnesota Fight Factory in Burnsville, Minnesota. Please welcome to the cage, the undefeated Shana Olson.
Shana Rock Solid Olson, undefeated. Attended Bemidji State University, became an emergency room registered nurse. Really, she wants to be a role model for all women, not just females looking to get into MMA.
And in order to get things done here tonight, she's going to want to use her wrestling for sure, but she wants to use her wrestling to confuse her opponent, Julia Budd. That way, Shana Olson can throw her own punches, especially that huge left hook.
I think my strength is a huge advantage. You know, I'm a big girl for 145 pounds, and I throw around guys that outweigh me by 40, 50 pounds at the gym. So, you know, my strength is a huge advantage, and I definitely feel I have an advantage on the ground.
She holds a win over Yoko Takahashi, who lasted 9 minutes in losing via decision against current Strikeforce Women's 145-pound champion Chris Cyborg on the final Elite XC event in October 2008. She was also submitted via armbar in May 2001 by new Strikeforce Women's 135-pound champ Marlis Kunin, that being Takahashi. So, as we go to the tail of the tape, Shana Olson has been there, done that already in her career.
Yeah, and Julia Budd is a couple pounds heavier at weigh-in time, but she walks around about 155, 160 pounds. The reach is going to come into play definitely because these girls like to strike. I'd like to see them measure the legs because Budd likes to kick.
This bout is scheduled for 3 5-minute rounds. Our referee in charge, Marcos Rosales.
Ready? Let's go! We are set for 3 5-minute rounds. Referee Marcos Rosales representing the California State Athletic Commission, overseeing the proceedings, and off to a very fast start. Olson shooting in for the takedown attempt. Budd stuffing her, now pinned along the fence. Budd in the blue gloves, Olson in the red gloves.
One thing that I liked that Budd did, she came out and just started throwing. That shows a lot of guts against a grappler, the level of Shana Olson.
Well, Shana Olson, being the Golden Glove boxer out of Minnesota, surely went for the takedown pretty quick when she ate a couple of Budd's jabs. Might have changed her mind pretty quick.
Both women mainly train with the guys in their respective gyms. In fact, Julia Budd has been a part of Quentin Rampage Jackson's current camp. He prepares to fight Lyoto Machida next month. Budd beginning to find the range with her strikes.
between the two. Bud definitely looks more intense. She's the bigger girl. She's the one that's hunting right now. Olsen is definitely the prey.
And as much as Olsen said she wanted to trade, I don't think it's the best strategy, to be honest.
Olsen trains under the tutelage of MMA pioneer, former president of Judo Brazil, Sergio Cunha. Bud getting the better of the striking exchanges here in the early going. Nice kick caught by Olsen, immediately closes the gap, goes for the clinch.
Olsen let that kick go, though. Look at I love it, the spin around, that's beautiful. But that body lock's going to turn into a takedown.
And the takedown with Olsen landing on her back. The size, the balance of Julia Budd. She's in the open half guard of Olsen. We'll see what her ground game is like. Again, a predominant stand-up striker. Muay Thai boxing background, but has been training at Gibson MMA in Port Moody, BC. And she, even though she doesn't train with the Geese, she's been holding her own against purple belts.
Shana Olsen definitely needs to get to work here and get her guard back, because Bud's going to start hammering on her and imposing her size and her strength.
Some elbows to the body by Bud.
You can see her posting on Bud's hip, trying to get her guard back. Bud's doing a good job of closing the gap, pinning her against the cage, not letting her get to there.
Shana Olsen enters the fight in the top 10 rankings of the unified women's 145-pound division. Bud looking for the submission.
For guillotine here.
She's squeezing it tight. I don't know if she's got position to get it, though.
I'm right here, I'm right here.
I don't think she's going to get this submission because she doesn't have the arm in front of the throat.
I think she's just extremely strong.
She has to be careful not to expend unnecessary energy as she finally releases it. If the submission isn't there, and we all know it's about position before submission. Bud showing some great generalship in the cage, moving Olsen now. Where there's more real estate, Olsen looks for the sweep.
Hips. Almost got her over in time. Bud shifted her weight, got her hips back to the other side and saved herself.
Hit the head with the forearm. Don't hit the head with the forearm. No elbow to the face.
No elbows to the face. Referee Rosales admonishing Bud.
To Olsen's credit, she's kept those arms wrapped up fairly close and hasn't allowed Bud to posture up.
Final 60 seconds of the opening round. Julia Budd in her professional MMA debut, controlling the action against the 4-0 Shana Rock Solid Olsen. Now Budd able to posture, but immediately Olsen again looking to control the wrist. Has neutralized Bud's right arm for the moment.
Yeah, Bud's having some trouble getting some offense off a lot here, just simply because she's in half guard and she's being tied up a lot. She really needs to work across sides.
That's the second time. Stand up.
Referee Rosales warning Bud for the second time, and I believe he is...
There are no elbows. You threw a second one, okay? 1 point.
1 point deduction. Julia Budd being deducted a point for
1 point.
illegal elbow strikes to the head. And again, a reminder that here in Strikeforce, there are no elbow strikes to the head of a grounded opponent.
It's too bad because she was winning the round.
And a round that Julia Budd asserted herself well, unfortunately ends with her being deducted a point for an illegal elbow strike to the head. Don't forget, for highlights and expert analysis of America's #1 spectator sport, catch Inside NASCAR. New episodes premiere every Wednesday, and you can catch encores throughout the week. And in fact, if you missed it this week, don't worry, because immediately following Strikeforce Challengers 11, you'll get to see Inside NASCAR right here on Showtime.
It's hard to remember sometimes, you know, certain rules. It was a beautiful elbow, though. You can elbow standing up in this organization, and Bud took advantage of that. Here's a takedown attempt. Olsen really just didn't get her all the way over. She posted with her leg, Bud did, and ended up on top in half guard. She's been using her elbows and forearms a lot to punish Olsen underneath. She finally got a point taken for it. She's got to remember not to do that, being a Muay Thai fighter.
Ready? You ready? Go!
Round 2 underway. Safety to say that with the point deduction in round one, that was a even round, 9-9. You concur, guys?
Absolutely.
9-9 for sure.
Olsen trying to pick that leg, but unfortunately, the underhook of Bud prevented it. Now underhook's got her up against the cage.
Bud proving to be too strong for Shana Olsen in this fight as she turned the tables on the Minnesota fighter as they jockey for position along the fence. Bud would be wise here. She caught in the 50-50 position. Pat needs to maybe drop levels or just create the separation with the background and deliver some of those knee strikes.
Well, you know, with Bud, with that physically strong, you've got to time your takedowns behind your strikes. Get Bud into an exchange and get her open for a takedown and get a clean takedown. Don't tie up with her and match muscle with her.
Well, there's one thing for sure that usually Muay Thai fighters, when they come into MMA, they avoid the clinch. Bud has jumped right into the clinch, and she's pretty much owning the clinch.
You can see how Bud's doing a good job lifting that underhook. That's very important in controlling this over-under position. Whenever she gets a chance, she jacks that underhook up, and Olsen can't do a whole lot from there.
There's a level trajectory elbow with the right and a left hand by Bud. Immediately, Olsen goes again for the clinch. Obviously, Olsen does not want to have much to do with Bud's stand-up here in round two. She wants to get this fight to the ground. She told us during the fighter meetings that she wanted to close the distance right away to avoid Bud's strikes, but she said she wouldn't force the takedown just because everyone expects her to. Well, something tells me she's looking for the takedown right now.
Yeah, she knows. She knows that she's not going to deal with Bud standing up right now. I think that's clear to her. She needs to stay tied up or get a takedown.
That's another pull down where she pulled Bud right on top of her.
And into cross-side position, immediately looking to transition to mount. Nope, not fully yet. Now in a full mount. Ground and pound from Julia Bud, looking to hand Shana Olsen her first loss in her professional MMA debut. And now Bud exploding the hips, but in danger of surrendering her back as Bud continues to work on Shana rock-solid Olsen.
I'm really impressed with the fact that Bud can grapple like this.
More ground and pound action
Olsen got
from the MMA neophyte, Julia Bud.
Olsen's got to get moving. The fight is in jeopardy of being stopped here pretty soon if she doesn't get moving.
Remember, the gold standard in the women's 145-pound division is Strikeforce Women's Champion Chris Cyborg. Julia Bud dominating the 4-0 Shana Olsen. Referee Rosales steps in. Julia Bud is victorious in her professional MMA debut. She does it here on Showtime.
Impressive.
And just like another British Columbia native, former Strikeforce Women's 135-pound champion Sarah Kaufman, Julia Bud comes down from Canada and is very impressive here in her Strikeforce debut.
Olsen was really trying to get this fight to the ground. She just got anxious. I think she was nervous, didn't want to get hurt anymore, standing up and pulled Bud down on top of her. Really a tactical mistake on her part. Bud just physically stronger than she was, you could see. And Bud able to move quickly from cross sides into the mount and start dropping the bombs on top of Olsen. She's staying busy the entire time. She knows that if she hits her continually, the referee has to step in and save the fighter in a bad position. And that's what she did. She just stayed busy, inflicted punishment the entire time. Referee had no choice but to stop the fight.
And Olsen could not defend the mount. She didn't turn her back to try and, you know, work her way out because she must not have been afraid of the submissions, just the punches.
Well, grappling technique goes out the window when you're getting punched in the face.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Marcos Rosales puts a stop to this bout at 2 minutes, 51 seconds of round number 2. She picks up her first victory with the TKO, Julia Bud.
Julia, congratulations. You only have one chance to make a first impression. I would say that was a very impressive one. Talk about your professional MMA debut, and obviously with the win, things went according to plan, but what did you think of your performance and the strategy? Were you able to execute the game plan that you wanted?
Yeah, to the most part. I wanted to keep it standing more and end up on the ground, but I mean, I took care of business down there, so It's all good.
What about the fact that even though this is your first professional fight in mixed martial arts, there's not a lot of depth in the women's 145-pound division. It is definitely dominated by one of the toughest women on the planet, Strikeforce Women's Champion, Chris Cyborg. How far away do you think you are from facing the Beast?
I mean, she is an awesome fighter, and I'm game for it, though. So, yeah, I just want to thank my coach, Lance Gibson, Gibson MMA, all the guys back home, as well as the Dolce Diet and Rampage Jackson.
All right, let's hear it one more time. Victorious in her professional mixed martial arts debut from the True North Strong and Free, Julia Budd. All right, Showtime is your home for combat sports, and there is plenty of big boxing bouts coming up.